Hello, both sides of the conversation family. We welcome you to this virtual space crafted especially for you. My name is Jada Curry, and I'm both sides of the conversation's marketing director and graphics design specialist. I want to take some time to ground us all as a community into this space we are about to open up in, so let's go through our community standards. Both sides of the conversation is providing a safe and honest space for open conversation, so we ask that you all be respectful of that. We also ask that you be respectful of each panelist, host, and participant. We do encourage healthy debates and conversations. Don't personalize anything with anyone. This includes name-calling, bullying, trolling, or shaming. This will not be allowed or tolerated. Your perspective is yours. It is not a prescription. You do not have to agree, but show respect. These community standards apply to all of our live shows and any virtual spaces that we hold on social media, including YouTube, Facebook, Twitter, or Instagram. We want to make sure that we are caring for each other as a community. This is our priority in all of our endeavors as both sides of the conversation. With that being said, I hope you enjoyed today's show and continue to stay in touch with us via YouTube, Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, or all of them. All right, thank you for listening and see you soon.
Welcome, everybody, to both sides of the conversation. I'm John Henry, Executive Director. Today is Sunday, so you know what that means. We're going to have another community conversation. We have some amazing guests that's going to be coming on here talking with community, the staff at the San Francisco Juvenile Hall. So just looking forward to today's conversation, hearing from the staff and the community, gets a little bit of insight and get to hear from some of the staff that are working with our young people when they are removed from our community. So just happy to have them to join us today. Every Sunday, we are here at 2 p.m. in this virtual space. Please go to our YouTube channel if you would like to ask questions or you have a question for one of our panelists today. Go to our YouTube channel, both sides of the conversation, and use the live chat function if you want to ask those questions for today's show. So we'll be getting back to you for those questions to our staff. First, we want to go through a couple of our community announcements. First, I want to say our co-host Brittany is not here today. She had a personal emergency today, so she won't be here today. So we'll continue to pray for her as she's dealing with a family personal emergency, and we'll probably see her next week. With that being said, this weekend we had some epic events that was going on in the community. Want to give a big shout out to Executive Director Booker T. Washington, Security Simply. They had a phenomenal resource fair and backpack giveaway for the community. It was just powerful to see the community out engaged and doing stuff for the young people, an organized event, and it was moving smoothly through. So thanks to her, Christopher Shelton, and the rest of the both sides of the Booker T. Washington crew. They did a phenomenal job for community. Director Davis came out and supported. A lot of the community organizations came out and supported that function, and community came out to receive some of the resources that they were putting back into the community. So phenomenal event. So I want to give a huge shout out to the Booker T family and all the work that they're doing over there to help impact our community. And then secondly, want to give a huge shout out to the Feline Finesse dance group. They had an amazing awards ceremony yesterday evening. Thank you to all of the people that came out to support our young ladies that are in dance and doing the arts and doing the work in our community, giving that positive light for D10 and showing that there are young people and organizations in the community that are doing things to positively impact the community. It just was phenomenal to see the parents, the community organizations. Shout out to Diane Gray, 100% College Prep coming out and support. Kurt Grimes over at API. My guy Silent Tunes, man, if it wasn't for him catching a lot of this stuff, man, you guys would be missing a lot of stuff. But shout out to Silent Tunes for the work that they're doing with us behind the scene, capturing the footage, getting the photos and putting this stuff together for community. So just want to give Coach Leela and the dance team a great shout out. Phenomenal event. Way to have them in our community doing things to positively impact our community. Looking forward to doing stuff with them here in the future. With that being said, road announcements, we're going to jump into those real quick. President Biden signed in the announcement that all federal workers need to be vaccinated or they will be subject to testing once to twice a week. Additionally, unvaccinated people across the country may be subject to travel restrictions and different things of that nature. So please, if you haven't been vaccinated, things are tightened up, restrictions are happening. If that's you and you've been waiting, please go get vaccinated, protect the people. Right now, they're saying about 49% of the total U.S. population has been vaccinated. So we still got a large amount of people out there that are not vaccinated. And these numbers with this Delta variant is increasing. And we're trying to avoid being locked back down in the house. But if we don't get it right, it looks like we might be getting shut back down. Sad to say, right in the middle of school starting. Unfortunate, but we're going to keep pushing through and hopefully people get the message, get out there and get vaccinated so that we can stop the spread of this virus. Also, with that being said, this Tuesday will be National Night Out across the country, but National Night Out will be in Bayview at the Opera House. Ella Hill Hutch, a couple of community organizations will be hosting this National Night Out. It will be a nice event to see the young people, community. There will be dancing, resources, food, different things of that nature. So August 3rd, please reach one of your community locations and make sure that you get out there to see what's going on at the National Night. And then B Magic, the Bayview Magic, is having signups for their talent show. In their backpack giveaway. There will be backpack giveaways happening at 155 Jennings Street at Cargo Way, August 14th, 11 a.m. to 2 p.m. Please get out there and get ready to get your backpacks, get some of the resources that they have for our young people. That's August 14th for the Beat Magic. This Saturday, we will be at Ella Hill Hutch, 1050 McAllister Street, where Mo Magic will be doing their backpack giveaway. There will be food, music. We'll be over there. The mayor will be through there, and we'll be out there supporting the community. That's what it's all about. So we'll be there at the Mo Magic, and then this Saturday, we'll be out doing the homeless feed. You all know we do the homeless feed once a month with the City Eats. I'll be getting that information out to community today. Please sign up and join. We need all the support from community. Right now, our community are being hit in many ways. So being able to volunteer and give back is definitely a blessing to community. So I'll be putting information out for the City Eats this Saturday at 10 a.m. We'll be back in the community feeding those in need. And it's just a phenomenal event to connect with people. And we definitely need the support of sponsors and different things of that nature. Go out to thecityeats.org and get some of that information. This Tuesday, we'll have another Hidden Gem segment where we'll continue to highlight our Black and Brown businesses and uplift those community leaders that's doing things to positively impact our community. So 7 p.m. on Tuesday, we'll have another Hidden Gem segment. And then Thursday, at 6 p.m., we'll have another educational presentation where we continue to intentionally educate our community. We have some phenomenal youth that are going to come on and educate community about DACA and some of the things that's happening with the immigration policies. So looking forward to that conversation this Thursday. And then we have some upcoming shows. August 8th, that Sunday, We're having a conversation with the parents of the community to talk about how all the parents are feeling about getting our kids back in school. We would like to have some of the parents of the community. Please come on, give us your thoughts. Talk with community. We're going to have some of the community parent coalitions on as well. Want to hear from community and see what's the thought process as we're transitioning back into school. What is that going to look like? What are some of the concerns that our parents in the community have? I think it's going to be phenomenal. So we're looking for people to sign up. Go to our website, bothsidesoftheconversation.org. If you're a parent out there and you have concerns about your kid returning to school for this first semester back, please log in. We would love to hear from you, have you as a panelist for that show. 8:15, we're going to have a conversation about this COVID vaccination and testing. We're going to have some phenomenal doctors that's going to come on. Met up with one of the brothers yesterday, and we got some people from DPH that's going to come on and talk about the vaccination, where are the spots at, and try to talk about some of the myths and some of the misinformation that's going out to community about the vaccination. So we're looking for a couple more people. If you want to be a part of that conversation, please go to our website as well. And then on 8:22, we're going to have an important conversation about colorism. This is a very important for our community, as we know colorism impacts our community, and we just want to have a conversation with that. We're still looking for a few more panelists to join that conversation as well, but that will be August 22nd. And then the last Sunday of the month is a very, very important conversation. We're going to be talking about drug abuse and drug addiction. We know here in San Francisco, our communities are getting hard with fentanyl and different drug use. Over 700 people have died in San Francisco with fentanyl use, and this substance abuse across the country are impacting our country. So with that being said, we're going to go ahead and start jumping into today's Sunday's conversation. Just want to read a little bit of information about the San Francisco Juvenile Hall and some of the information that's related to our young people who are incarcerated before we start introducing today's guest. And I think we're going to hear some phenomenal brothers. So let me just get through some of the information. The annual bookings at San Francisco Juvenile Hall have declined by 75% over the last decade. The average daily population dropped to about 15 in 2021 from 94 into 2010. On some days in recent months, the numbers of youth detained in San Francisco Hall has dipped to about 4 to 6%, 40 to 50 to earlier years. Juvenile Hall is about a 150-bed facility to house juveniles daily. The cost per day is about $3,000 per day, or $1.1 million annually. San Francisco planned to close the Juvenile Hall, transition those youth that need to be detained to home-like environments for serious offenders and community programs for other offenders. Some sites throughout the city has been mentioned, including Inglewood Center for Children. The family has at least 20 beds. If a facility can't be located with these youth, they have been transferred outside of the county. In California alone, juvenile arrests continue to see a dramatic decline in 2020, despite school closures and a lack of sports and other activity. Last year, 25,710 young people were arrested, down 40% from 2019, 64%, lower than 15, according to the Department of Justice. In California, felony arrests were down 47%. Over the year, and misdemeanors dropped about 72% from 2019. The San Francisco proposed budget for the juvenile probation is expected to reach nearly $44 million this next year, including $17 million for Juvenile Hall. The proposed budget continued to allocate nearly $3 million for the Log Cabin Ranch, a juvenile detention camp in San Mateo County, for coverage for security, maintenance, and salaries of log cabin employees. Research has repeatedly shown incarcerating children has long and negative effects, including likelihood of landing prison into adults. The judges and probation chiefs, elected officials, and advocates of child acknowledge that the state juvenile system needs to be reformed, and we'll talk about what that looks like. 1 out of 5 juveniles under the age of 15 in California have been arrested of misdemeanors, and over 37% was convicted of felonies. And out of 8 to 10 juveniles arrested, 81% were referred to county juvenile probation departments. So there's a lot of work still going on, a lot of work that needs to happen. I don't know if these numbers all are adequate or where we need to see them. I think there's some skews in those numbers for me, with all of the uptick in gun violence that continue to impact our community. As this weekend, our community was impacted again as a young 16-year-old female was killed by gun violence in our community, senseless violence. So again, a lot of times these acts are happening by our young people. So I don't know what the solution is, but there's a lot of work we have to do when we're talking about reentry and things of that nature and looking at these models. How do we help? How do we fix? And how do we do some of the things that we need to do? So with that being said, community, we're going to go ahead and start bringing up our guests one by one today. Let them introduce themselves to community, who they are, how long they've been working with Juvenile, and talk about a little bit what they're doing up there in the center. So with that being said, we're going to start off and bring up brother Bobby Upal, then Warren Johnson, and then Carr, Mackey, and Satch. We'll bring y'all up next as well. Bobby, are you out there? Can you hear us? I know you're moving.
Yes, good afternoon, John. Sorry I can't have my camera on today. I'm actually driving. Good afternoon to everyone. My name is Bobby Upal. I am currently the director of Juvenile Hall. I've been with the department for 20 years. I started as a counselor inside of Juvenile Hall, worked as a probation officer, and my current role is the director of Juvenile Hall. Thank you for having us. We look forward to today's conversation.
No problem. Thank you, Bobby. Next, we will bring our brother Warren Johnson. Warren, come on and introduce yourself to the community. Let them know who you are, what you're doing at Juvenile.
Thanks, John, for having me. I look forward to talking about, sides of the conversation. My name is Warren Johnson. I've been in Juvenile Hall now for about 14 years. I work on one of the high priority units there, Unit 7. And I just look forward to getting some community feedback on what we can do better than what we're actually doing right now to make sure that our youth for the city of San Francisco would be good models for the city and can move forward with their lives. Thanks.
No problem. Thank you, good brother. Now we're going to bring up the trio, the real amigos. My brother Carr, Mackey, and Satch, some of the hardest working cats I know, man. Go on and introduce yourself one by one to the community, and we'll jump into today's conversation. You got to unmute yourself. I think y'all haven't hit the unmute button.
John, you hear me now?
Oh, yeah, I can hear you all now. I can hear you.
Oh, okay. My name is Charles Satcher, a.k.a. Satch. I've been here with the department for 21 years. I've been in the profession of probation for 23 years, working at a juvenile hall, adult probation, so forth. And currently I do all the admissions and releases for the juvenile hall.
Hey, my name is Mr. Mr. Mackey. I've been with the department for about 15 years. Been born and raised in San Francisco. Went through SFUSD. Went to City College, San Francisco. Went to San Francisco State. And done numerous of summer programs such as SLUG, as well as DPW during the summers during my high school years. But I'm just here to do my part, to give back to the community that San Francisco gave to me.
Go, brother John Henry. Love y'all. First of all, can I say this, man? We like to dedicate both sides of the conversation to Reuben Gibson, rest in peace. That was one of our counselors who held us down from the 80s. Mama Rose, rest in peace, held us down since the 80s. And Wayne Williams, who held us down since the 80s, man. I'm Samuel Carr, born in the projects of San Francisco, born and raised in these trenches. I've been in the hall as a detainee since 1986, got my stuff together, came back to work since 2005. You know what I mean? We here to serve, and let's get it done. What's up? Talk to me. I'll talk back.
People are already commenting. They know the work that you are doing. Brother Rico is out there saying, man, we know Satch, we know Mac, and we're going to go ahead and jump into today's conversation. I wanted to thank you all. I know there's a couple other staff that's trying to get on with some connectivity issues. If anybody get kicked off, just reuse the link and we'll get you back up because this is definitely an important conversation. And as we start off this conversation, I'll put the first question up, because always community want to know, these people that's working with our youth, why did they get into this? And I understand why, and I just want you all to kind of touch on that as we start diving into today's conversation. But a lot of times, hold on, let me mute this mic. A lot of times in the community, it's very important that you all come on today and talk, and that's why I wanted to have Bobby and everybody, come on, because a lot of times community don't really understand the real work that's happening behind the walls with our young people, and a lot of times, sometimes the messaging and sometimes things that are coming out in the community through media and different things are not always what it really is, and a lot of times, I think sometimes the negative stuff always seems to over impact what is positively happening. Now, I've been working with you brothers for over 24 years up there, close bond with Brother Mackey. We went to elementary school together just to watch his growth. I took a pathway, he took a pathway. I'm a product of this juvenile system. So when people say it don't work, you can't change, it don't happen, under some of the great counselors that you all talked about, Tanner and Gibson and Mama Rose, and, them people put in work. Them was some of the counselors who helped me when I was going through my youth transition and having some of the struggles that I dealt with as a young man. So I know the work, I know the compassion, the humility that the staff have for our young people, and I know that a lot of times people don't understand that and see that, but when they are transferred over to you all, there's a lot of resources and information that you all are putting into our youth to help build them up, even in some of the situations we know our families that these young people come from are sometimes detriment to their behavior and what goes on in some of the living situations. But like I said, I want to go ahead and just open it up and just talk to community and just let them know, why you got into this work, why it's important, and just give them some of the information that, sometimes they don't hear and understand the work that you all are doing to impact our young people in the community. So I'm going to just open it up and let y'all jump in there. We could do a popcorn stall, and just let me know who want to go first, and then we'll get you all up.
Yeah. Don't be shy, man. Check this out. I kick it off, man, because I got a lot to say. You know what I mean? I got involved with working at Juvenile Hall because when I was in Juvenile Hall in the 86, 87, 88, 89, you know what I mean? That was my first time in my life that I actually got exposed to being to positive black men. Carl Sullivan, Barry Young, Fred Nelson, Wayne Williams, Kurt Edwards, Mike Jones. All these people were my counselors. So while I was bumping my head coming out to dealing with the crack epidemic in our city, you know what I'm saying? I actually had an opportunity to run into some strong, positive black men that showed me that regardless of what I did, they had love for me and they seen better inside of me. And so with that being said, as I went through all the little parts of the system, I said if I had an opportunity to come back and work inside this institution, I would do that to try to keep going with what they did to me, the love that I received when I was inside of those situations. That's why I came back.
Let me jump in. I want to piggyback off of what Carl was saying. When I first took a walkthrough of this place, man, I noticed people of color. I noticed people of color that looked like me working together, doing great things with these youth. Like he mentioned about Sullivan, Carl Sullivan. He brought an engine in here that helped these kids learn how to build a car, work on the engine and stuff. Them unorthodox ways of reaching our kids, man, was amazing to me. And it fueled like energy. Every day I walk in here, I feel like, who can I touch? You know what I'm saying? Right. Like I said before, when on my introduction, that San Francisco has given so much to me, and I always look back at why wasn't I caught up? And one of the things was having something to do. I was always playing sports, always at some park and rec or at some community job program. And I believe that if we are like keeping our youth minds engaged, that we can detour their pathway.
Yeah, this is Satch talking.
my thing for getting into this was, I mean, a lot of us have grown up in these same environments that these kids are growing up in. And so for me, not being from the city, well, I'm from Vallejo, I'm from the Crest. So by them seeing, everybody know about the neighborhoods in the Bay Area and stuff like that. So, and them seeing people come from the same neighborhoods that they come from, and seeing how we can relate to their environment, but we took a different path, going to college, getting our education, and so forth. Our kids, they use their senses. They got to see, feel, touch, and trust what they see.
Come on now, teach.
And so, by us being a product of their positive from this same environment they come from, that they see there is a better way, and we can relate. We can relate to our kids on all levels. We can speak to them on all levels, and we guide them. See, our kids, you can't just give a kid you can't tell a kid what to do and just expect them just to go do it. You have to tell them, you have to walk with it. So we walk with our kids all the way through. That's the plan. We have to see them through each step of the way, one step at a time.
Man, phenomenal information. Brother Lance, I want to jump in there. There you go. Your mic is good.
Okay, good. Once again, I'm Warren Johnson, and I'll piggyback off what those brothers are saying. And I think the most important thing that I really heard is having something for the youth to do. And as we know today, it's really hard once a youth leaves juvenile hall and go back out into the community to have something very positive to do. And that's where our community-based organizations come in at. I remember when I first got started working with juveniles, and I often thought, why did I not have issues when I was their age? And so something very important was said by Mr. Mackey, because I always had something to do. And as we know today, a lot of the youth that leaves the juvenile hall out in San Francisco, they go back to the same communities, they go back to the same families, they go back to the same friends that they had prior to coming in, and ultimately they get into the same stuff that they were doing prior to coming to juvenile hall. I think it's so important to have that community-based organization out there that could take in these youth and help them to endeavor in all those things that they should be able to endeavor in. Things like getting an education, things like being able to graduate from high school, things like being able to get a summer job, being able to be proud of something that they're actually doing. And this is what gives me the great amount of pleasure for working with those youth at juvenile hall, because I spent a lot of years in the military. And when I went to the military, people told me, they said, why would you go to a place like that where you as a Black man would never be appreciated? But to me, it wasn't so much being a Black man and not appreciated, about having the fortitude to do something, to go somewhere, to get out of the neighborhood, to be able to encourage other youth now to be able to get out of the neighborhood when you turn 18, when you turn 19, be able to do something else. So that's what's important. And I'm going to continue to work, even if we work with 100 and we only get 2 or 3, then that's going to be a great success for me. Thanks.
Definitely phenomenal information. Bobby, did you want to comment on anything or that, or we could just keep moving along?
We can keep it moving, John.
Okay, we'll keep it moving. Let's keep it going. I think this is just phenomenal and great to have this conversation, just to see all you brothers on here. And I know Khan was supposed to come on and talk about the young ladies, but she's not here yet. But when they're talking about this closure of juvenile hall, and things of that nature. And we know sometimes politics get involved, and this is not even we're not even gonna go into the politics and all of that. But what I've seen is like a lot of times our young people are being still impacted with crime and different things of that nature in our community. And as we talk about closing the juvenile down, you look at the numbers that we talked about earlier, how the numbers are so low. I remember it was the time, where it was 100, 200 people in the system housed there at Juvenile Hall. But I think a lot of time the numbers we talk about is so skewed, right? Because when we really talk about the closure of Juvenile Hall and the amount of incarceration rate, we start having to look at the demographics of our community. Here in San Francisco, it's about 5% Black. Our brown community are being impacted as well with the numbers, with gentrification moving our people out. And I always ask the question because there's a lot of crime still happening in our community, a lot of young people, and a lot of these numbers really sometimes don't add up about the support. But my thinking is, we have a log cabin that's closed. There's a significant amount of money that is in log cabin just sitting there. How do we utilize for the small amount of population that we have? Because we know in San Francisco, when it comes to the other ethnic groups of this city, we don't lock them up. And I always tell people when they look at these numbers, these institutions are built and they built for Black and brown communities. I'm gonna be real with it. In San Francisco, we don't lock up we don't lock up white and Asian kids, and they don't get the same amount of charges and time that our Black kids and brown kids get. With that being said, as the community starts to depopulate and those numbers of our Black and brown residents leave the city, how much has that impacted with the conversation about the support service and the thing that Juvenile do that you all see when it comes to the numbers and the counts? Can y'all hear me, Mark?
Hello? What happened?
We can hear y'all. Go ahead.
Oh, okay. Hey, John Henry, you said, check this out. You said a lot. So I want to tap into it right here. It's funny that we examine everything from the count. How many youth are in the institution, right? Instead of kind of looking at the whole picture. Like you made mention to, I even believe that we're under 3%. In the 80s, we had 16, 17% of Black people in these communities. And let's look at the communities. Why, when you say, how come there are not Caucasians or Asians in here? You know what I mean? You can, when you go to Chinatown, the communities are affluent. They businesses operating and everything. We know that we come from, most of our youth that are in these facilities are coming from these housing projects that we was born in. Sunnydale, West Point, Harbor Road, Oakdale, Double Rock, Alamany, Valencia Gardens, parts of Lakeview. We're talking about of youth that are high-risk youth for dying young in these streets of San Francisco, right? Or living old in prison. You know what I mean? So as we have moved from the 80s until now, so when we talk about numbers, it's like that's kind of like counting how many people are on a plantation. You know what I'm saying? Versus looking at, okay, what we have to see is a declining Black population in the city of San Francisco, right? A city that has normally housed, when we was in here, John, we always was the highest population. There's never been a day where it's been higher Latinos, higher anybody. It's always been Black children locked up in these juvenile halls. So why aren't we really looking at what is our success rate? You know what I'm saying? When we looking at our communities and saying that crime is down, but is jobs up? You know what I'm saying? Are we adding more jobs to our community? When we looking inside this institution, is the institution, because you know crime is not going nowhere. So it's like America is not going to get rid of jails. You know what I'm saying? What we have to do is create institutions like this San Francisco Juvenile Hall that when a child come in here, when a youth come in here, we're trying to derail this train from them going to prison or going back out in them streets and dying young. So what programming do we have in our institution? How can we reshape our programming where youth can come in here and learn how to get conflict resolution. You know what I'm saying? Learn how to deal with their own internal issues that they're dealing with, because we come from a lot of trauma. You know what I'm saying? And we know as staff been working in here for all these decades, sometimes somebody would get killed on the streets and this whole institution would turn up in an uproar. You know what I mean? So we have to begin as people who really care about these youth, design an institution that has the ingredients that would help a youth be able to come out of here and get on track with, like every other youth, get the opportunity to go. Me, myself, you know what I'm saying? I was able to come out of Log Cabin Ranch, go to San Bruno, and really figure it out. Like, man, I need to go to school. You know what I'm saying? We can't take school out of the equation. Let me slow down. Anybody got something to say? Because I will end up hogging the mic. For real. Go for it. Okay, so let me go. So all I'm saying is, just like when we're looking at our youth coming through this institution, and what programming are we giving to them, and how are we best to try to help and align? Because something has went wrong. Something has went wrong in a family. Something has went wrong in a school out there. Something has went wrong in the community out there that has allowed our youth to take in their own minds, I'm going to take a position about my life, and I'm going to go do whatever it is, and then they land up in here. And after all these decades, this juvenile hall has been here, we have enough information to say, you know what, this is how we need to shape our juvenile hall to give these young people one more chance, because you're not going to be young forever. You know what I'm saying? And we know a lot of times our habits that we continue to do will land us in 850 Bryant, will land us in San Bruno, then lead us to San Quentin. And a lot of the times we can't turn it back around. You know what I'm saying? And once you get that adult felony, your whole life changed. Everybody won't be able to do what I did, get an expungement. You know what I'm saying? So while we here, I'm just saying, I think sometimes people outside of institutions like this look at this as like we the police, we the staff here. Each and every one of us come from the communities where we talking about these youth come from. He come from Vallejo to Crest. He come from Hunters Point. I was born in Potrero Hill. You know what I'm saying? Sullivan came from Hunters Point. Nelson came from Hunters Point. Miss Butler came from North Beach Projects. Mama Rose came from Lakeview. You know what I'm saying? Javon Smith comes from Lakeview. So the whole thing about community, let's establish that we are the community. Let's be clear. Just because you work in a community-based organization, don't mean that you corner the market on community. I am a project welfare kid working here at San Francisco Juvenile Hall who came from the crack era. We are the community. So we in here trying our best to get at these heart and minds of these youth to try to tell them, look at us, you can do it. But it takes a lot. It takes everybody from family, the education, to the community. And when they get in here, having strong program so that when they re-entry back into the same hostile community that they come from, we have something in place like Warren Johnson was saying that they can do, and not just do, but lead them a certain direction. You know what I'm saying? Like let's be honest. You know, when we was in here, John Henry, what was the thing that was missing in our household? Black fathers. That's why when I got in here and my counselors were black men, I drew to them because I didn't have no father in the household. Now, if you want to talk about the images that I did, I had a hustler, I had a pimp, I had a gangster, I had a killer. We had all those images that keep us recycling, but we had to come inside of here to see black men working and encourage you to do something good. You know what I'm saying? So it's sad, but it's true. You see what I'm saying? And one person that has been here since the 80s says we'll never have a conversation without talking about Jack Omega, without talking about Coach. You know what I'm saying? Without talking about Omega's Boy Club and the work that it's been doing in the city of San Francisco and in Juvenile Hall to help wake us up. One thing that the community, especially with this stuff rolling out, seem to forget is we not the police. We ain't kicked nobody door in. We ain't went and snatched no kid up and brought them in Juvenile Hall. So let's be real. You know what I'm saying? It's like we're trying to have a discussion without talking about the level of violence, the level of deaths. You know what I'm saying, John Henry, when we was out here in 89 in 90 and 91, the murder rates was 95, 96, 97, 100, and those were predominantly black males being killed. So when we go to talk about numbers, let's be honest and look at the whole picture and see how moving through time and space, things have changed. And be honest, juvenile hall is not the issue. Now, can it be reformed? It should be reformed, because we should be looking at what is our statistics of winning. How many youth have came through juvenile hall and went on and had a better opportunity to live productively in society? You know what I'm saying? Instead of doing it from the perspective where people looking at my money, you know what I'm saying? Oh, we're investing this much money and it's only this many beds. Yeah, because we know the system had in their mind a long time ago, right, to mass incarcerate you. So when this ain't the juvenile hall that we grew up in, John Henry, it didn't look like nothing else. It was that home environment that they're talking about now. When they designed this juvenile hall, all the juvenile halls started looking like mini penitentiaries, because somebody had in their mind mass incarceration of the youth. You know what I'm saying? Now, it ain't like all of a sudden our youth did a exodus and we all living well. Many of us died. Many of us went to the penitentiary. You know what I'm saying? Very few of us has had the opportunity just to have a regular life coming from these hostile environments. So I'm gonna stop.
Well, we don't get there. We don't get there. But I like how you put it there before Marcus go. No, you saying the right stuff, and we're gonna get there as this conversation heat up. But I think what you articulated and what you laid out is very important. That's why I said this conversation is very important for a community to hear, because again, a lot of people don't have the understanding who you all are and what you do. And again, Sam, you said the perfect thing, because a lot of times people, community out there, hear this. Sometimes in our community, when these young people hit juvenile hall, this is the first time experiencing positive black males. And that's just being real, right? And one thing that you hit on that's very powerful is the staff at the San Francisco Juvenile Hall, most of them live in our communities. We can't say the same for our San Francisco Police Department. There are strives to make it better, but could you imagine, since we always talking about reimagining things in our community, if we had more community policing from people who actually lived in the projects, lived in the community, a lot of these things that we're dealing with socially and nationally wouldn't be happening. Okay, so I think you brought up a great point there, Sam. We're going to jump into that more, but we'll move to Marcus and them. But I think that's a great point for a lot of these communities that we are talking that's impacted by the arrest, incarceration of our young people. Sometimes community, the first time our young males in our community get in contact with a positive male role model is after they done made the wrong choice. And then they hear with Sam and Satch and Carr and Warren and different things of that nature. And it takes time. And a lot of people don't believe that, but sometimes that's the truth and that's the reality. And then we have to also talk about some of the struggles that we have to deal with as community that's going on in our household. But phenomenal point. And we're going to keep heating this conversation up. But Brother Mackey, I know you wanted to jump in there. Go ahead.
Oh man, I just want I can't go after Carr after what he said, but I'm all for reform. We are in a big facility, a facility that could be repurposed for many great things. I know that the numbers, what you hear, that we're in a 150 bed facility and we have a very low count right now, possibly under 20 kids. So when you look at those numbers, it looks astronomical, but understand that they're doing the math from a perspective of 150 beds. You know what I'm saying? If this was a smaller institution, those numbers wouldn't even look like that. But like what Carr was saying, if we can just bypass the money and look at the space we have and what we can do to repurpose that space so our kids can benefit from that, that'd be the best opportunity, ideal situation for our youth, you know? So that's one thing that I strongly support about how we repurpose this facility to better suit our kids' needs. Warren Johnson mentioned that finding something for our kids to do once they leave this location. If we can get our kids in a way that they can be prepared going back into that community, giving them some life skills, how to control their emotions, some work skills, about being prompt, on time, some skills on some things to do. I remember John Henry. Remember you was telling me we were saying earlier that we grew up, went to elementary school together. John, I still remember when you started that heating and cooling program. You know what I mean? It was at the gas station when you told me about that. And look, and I always say, look at you now. You know what I'm saying? So, like I said, I would give you a roses while you here, brother. And I apply what you do, John. And look where you came from, and look where you ended up. So we can use this place as a starting point for our youth to change their pathway.
Definitely very, very powerful stuff. Before you speak, Satch, I just want to say, and I was on the commission meeting the other day about log cabin, and I think one of the things that's missing, because everybody's talking about preventative stuff, right? I think the city of San Francisco has been so reactive that I think this reform that we're talking about needs to look more proactive. How do we utilize the juvenile facility to work with all of our youth? And typically what happens in our community is the only support sometimes the youth get is when they get in trouble, right? So I'm looking more of a preventative measure, right? How we got a log cabin up there. We got a beautiful site. How do we turn that into a situation where it could be a relivable thing for community, right? Make it set up kind of like a job corps type of setting, right? Where the kids can actually live there, because we know sometimes kids do get into difficult situations with their families and they can't live together, right? But why do we have to wait till the young people get arrested, right? We could utilize that and have like Sam was saying, we could put up an automotive program. We can have a culinary art program. The kids could like cook, do their own thing, and then we could like get them into different partnerships where it could actually like make money and sustain itself, right? Because we know you all do the work, y'all in there, I'm in there, I work with these young people. You know, they talk all of this mess about Juvenile Hall, but when you talk about the group homes where these kids go, they have the highest running rate, right? So it's like, yeah, we want to put these kids in these group homes, but most of the time they run because there's no substance there, you know. And I think sometimes the kids get the most when they in there with you, Sam, Carr, and Warren, getting information, right? But yeah, the setup is not ideal for what the community or what legislatively they're looking for. But I think sometimes that structure is very important. A lot of times in our community, that structure is missing. But how do we utilize these space where it's a community collective? And that's what I would like to see. We have organizations that could work together and utilize the space. We have to stop waiting until our kids are arrested, until they already passed that point of help. How do we utilize this system in a way that we can actually do the preventative work? That's where I'm looking at reform. I think we have some amazing spaces. I think we can repurpose it, like Marcus said, make it proactive, and make it a teaching and an environment where not just people that's arrested in trouble. Let's catch these young people before they get in trouble. So wanted to say that, but go ahead, Satch.
Well, I mean, well, for me, everything has been said is on point. And so my thing is, when they are here, when they are incarcerated, we are giving these kids a second chance. We are giving these kids whatever trauma they're going through, a voice and ear to listen, eyes to see.
Come on now.
We give them some of these kids they're giving the medical help that they need. They're giving some of them giving the education that they stop going to outside. They for them to get their education back in here. Stability. Come on. That's Carver Center, conflict resolution. I mean, we do a lot up here in Juvenile Hall. And the biggest thing we do is try to get these kids from standing in their own shadow. Hey, can I tap in real quick, John Henry? Let me just tap in. I got a few points I want to make real quick. First of all, you know what I'm saying? All our staff that come to this institution and work for this institution, we all got college degrees. So, you know what I'm saying? Our encouragement to our youth is always go to college to help us be able to get out here and fit in America. Okay, my second point I want to make is, like, if we really want to talk about real reform, and if everybody want to make the point that, you know what I'm saying, it's misdemeanors and low-level felony felonies that's being committed by these youth. Well, check game. Let's just move like this. Let's nip it right in the butt. Let's start in the courtroom, and then let's start expunging these young people records, the ones who have just these small little misdemeanors and these lightweight felonies. If we really want to change their life and make it accessible for them to get back in society and be and really be effective in society, let's take them, and everybody that we can expunge their juvenile hall record, get their record expunged. And then with all this money that we got floating around, you know what I'm saying? Because it's like you put multi-millions of dollars into rehabilitation in prisons. So let's look at it like this. Well, let's put multi-millions of dollars into rehabilitation in juvenile hall. You can go from prison in San Francisco State through Project Rebound. My homeboy Jason is the director there to this moment, to this day. He came from prison as a person who used the program to get in college, and now he runs it. How come we don't have nothing in San Francisco Juvenile Hall where youth can come in here, earn his or her GED, high school diploma, and we got a smooth ticket for them right into San Francisco State, you know what I'm saying, so they can have an opportunity to go to college when we're talking about real reform. When we know that most of our youth, when we look at their cases, they coming in here for hustling. You know what I mean? They selling pills, they selling dope, they committing robberies, they committing crimes that deal with economics. You know what I'm saying? Because they're trying to get some money. So when we talk about the ranch, it's like it should be obvious what we should do to the ranch. Because when I was on the ranch, I loved the ranch because we had the wood shop. I used to like to get up every day and go to the wood shop and build my mama the paper towel holder, the jewelry thing, the clock. You know what I'm saying? We can take Log Cabin Ranch and turn that into a place where we can train youth in jobs that, you know what, if you bump your head later, you still can do it. So that'll be construction. That'll be mechanic. That's a skill, something they can do with their hands, something where they can feed their family. So it's obvious that places like Log Cabin Ranch, with all that space out there, has to be dedicated to some skills that we can acquire. And here, we can, in this institution, used to be, it's amazing to sit in these classrooms and see how much our kids don't know. See how much that the school system outside is providing, but when you coming from a hostile community and you worried about being shot and worried about being killed, you got to carry a pistol to your school. You can't focus on doing your schoolwork. A lot of our youth get up in here, they ain't worried about nobody killing them. You know what I'm saying? They ain't worried about that, so they get to actually academically and perform and then see their own intelligence be bright. So we should be looking at things like that and saying, okay, whatever system we design, we are designing a system to get them out the system, as many as we can. We're not just focusing on the people who well, if it's a 150 bed facility, it's about this much money per youth. No, check this out. How are we going to change these young people's lives? You know what I'm saying? How are we going to teach these daughters that they don't have to be human trafficked? You know what I'm saying? How are we going to teach these youth that had to be at home and deal with domestic violence? How are we going to teach these youth that had to be at home and know that their mother or their father was on drugs? How are we going to deal with youth that come out of communities where their brother or their sister have been killed? It's like the conversation that we having is not even deep enough to really get to the point where we can implement certain things that will change. You know what I'm saying? Because we're putting the money, the people, right behind the real problem. Through this whole process, it's like the Juvenile Hall staff has been so trampled on because for some reason somebody thinks that we the police. We are the closest ones to your kids. See, when your child can't trust you, he come in here and trust me. They don't call us Car, Mackie, Sachs. They call us What's up with What's up with bruh? What's up with big cousin? Right? They use terminologies that include us as family members. I've been coming in Juvenile Hall since the 80s. Have you ever heard of San Francisco Juvenile Hall staff being killed? Don't you think if we was in here doing something wrong with our youth, as much as they kill each other, that they would have slid up in a parking lot that has no safety net at all and killed one of us? No, they haven't. When they see us, they jump out. They try to tell us something that they doing good because they know we in here loving on them. We the neutral person in their life. I don't care what you did to get here. My job when you here is to wake you up. Wake you up. You see what I'm saying? But somehow, some way, because we all been impacted by oppression, we start segregating ourselves and feel like, no, my job is more important than yours. My job is better than yours. Now, check this out. It's a chain. It's a chain, and we all links to it. And we're trying to pull this chain tight so it can be tight and we can kind of keep our youth from sliding into the penitentiary and out here dying young. This whole process that we've been going through the last 2 years, nobody want to talk about the violence. And you know what? That's disrespectful for Black people in the city, because we go outside in the hood and see how many faces is on the t-shirt. Stop playing with me. Stop playing with me. Go in your house. Go talk to your niece. Go talk to your nephew. Go talk to your brother. Go talk to your sister, your daughter, and ask them, who is that picture that they wearing on their shirt? What is our concern? We have a right to live too. So y'all don't even understand that most of our youth who land up in here, the first thing they feel is like, I'm safe. I'm safe, man. Do you know how important that is? Do you know what you can do when a child feels safe now? Because we worrying in the street. Let's not play like the Black communities in San Francisco and the brown communities in San Francisco don't have real issues that surround around life and death. And we still economically the poorest in the city. Our schools are still the worst schools in San Francisco. You know what I mean? Why outside of school we start when a youth get in trouble, when a youth get into a fight, when a youth does something that the school system doesn't agree with? Why they call Juvenile Hall? Why you send them to the hall? We used to get fight in school, and you would call our parents, and we would get it squashed, and I could still go in school. So we got to look at the system and saying, wait a minute. The system is practicing certain things that continue to keep this train, this pipeline going from broken communities to prison. You know what I'm saying? Most people in here that work in this San Francisco Juvenile Hall, they not pro prison. They pro accountability. You got to be accountable for yourself. You know what I'm saying? And so a lot of the failures that has taken place in the family, we want to skip over that. Your primary resource is your family. What is you talking about? You know what I'm saying? The next biggest institution is your education system. So don't point the fingers at the staff in Juvenile Hall and assume that because you're trying to say you're trying to help our kids. How are you trying to help the kids, but you're trying to displace the parents? You know what I'm saying? The parents that came out of here produced Ryan Coogler. Right? And y'all was all sitting there watching the movies. Y'all was clapping. Y'all ain't never seen nothing like that. What's that? Damon Simeon on the baseball. These parents in here doing a hell of a job. So what you think they doing to your kid? We in here loving on your kid. You know what I'm saying? And that's, again, my point again. There's never been a history of the youth of San Francisco attacking the staff in Juvenile Hall when they see us in the same communities that they come from. They love us because they know we in here serving nothing but love, nothing but wake-up juice. You're not running no game on us. That's what you're not going to do. You run game on your family. You run game on the streets with your homeboy. But when you come in here in this institution, you dealing with men and women who care about you. You can't lie. You got to fess up. You got to be accountable. So let's really be real and start saying, okay, if you want to make change in these kids' life, expunge their records. Make sure that those who can those who can get their records expunged, when they cross over 18, they have no record. So no one can look into their past and begin to place judgment on them and say, you know what, I'm not going to give you an opportunity to jump into the workforce because I see you went to Juvenile Hall 28 times and there's some stuff in here that bother me and you can't work for my community. While they come in here, let's teach them how to deal with their trauma. Let's teach them how to deal with some interviews. Let's teach them how to dress. Like Warren Johnson always said, let's encourage them to first get some license. You know what I'm saying? You letting your child drive outside with no license. Come on, you're setting them up for failure. You know what I'm saying? Let's teach them the things that are not being taught because we're dealing with high-risk youth. When we miss, they end up in prison. When we miss, they end up on El Camino Real where we all enrolled and took that trip. And all them different graveyards right there. Stop playing with us. You know what I'm saying? So y'all know I will go. Come on, man.
It's time to go. This is what it's about. I want to. This is why I had this conversation, because a lot of times community don't understand the love, the humility, the compassion that our people that's behind these walls working with our young people. And I want to make sure that it's always both sides of the conversation. Sometimes we get caught into the political rhetoric. Sometimes we get caught into the community rhetoric. I'm like, let's talk to the people, man. And that's what this is about, both sides of the conversation. If y'all don't feel Sam love, if you don't feel Mackie love, if you don't feel the love from Seth, I don't know where you at, people. Wake up. They dropping gems to the community. Brother Warren, go ahead and jump in there. I know you've been waiting patiently. Community is starting to coming in here. I'll start getting some of the comments. I will get to it, community. But you got to feel the passion and love. Phenomenal brothers here today. This is the type of work, and I'm telling y'all, I'm up there. I see them blessing our young people. I see them encouraging them. What Sam is talking about is when you come in the presence of other positive men and wake up the level of consciousness, and this is how our young people start to transition. Only if we have so much time, if we had a little bit more time with them, so many more lives will be changed. But we want the community to understand it takes the village of the community, as Sam have so eloquently said. Juvenile Hall Staff is part of the community. Remember that. They're not the police. They are the community. They are pillars of our community. When our young people are away from their families, they are going to their second family sometime, and there's a lot of love going on. So, Brother Warren, you can go ahead and jump in there, and I'll pass it back to Sam and Mackie.
Hey, I'm appreciating this very much, and I'm really enjoying what Carr and the group is saying. But I think the biggest thing is the agenda part. Everyone has an agenda, whether it's political, whether it's outside, local, about what happens at 375 Woodside and what's happening to Log Cabin Ranch. San Francisco has all the resources right now to do anything that they need to do to be an advocate for youth of color in the city of San Francisco. And Sam so eloquently said that. But I think one of the biggest things that we have to do, and we need to concentrate on, is individual assessments by youth when they come in there. What is it that individual youth really needs? Is it educational? Is it a mental health issue? We have everything that we need to assist them in that. But if we don't do an individual assessment of each youth that comes in with us, then we have nothing but issues. Who wants to be an 18-year-old with 7th, 8th grade education level? How can you treat a youth that has mental health issues? Those are some of the things that we have to deal with juvenile hall. And they will come to juvenile hall. If it's not juvenile hall that they come to, it will be some agency that they're going to end up at. And we don't want to think of juvenile hall as a pipeline to prison. But is it a pipeline to prison? Or is it a pipeline to a college? Or is it a pipeline to a very good job? Is it a pipeline to being free in your community to do great things? These are all the things we got to figure out when we get the youth, because they're going to come to us. Right now, yeah, we may have 12, 13, but was it any different when there was 50 to 75? So we got what we got. We're going to deal with the political side of it. There's no way we're going to get out of it. A lot of that, they have already made their minds up. Carl Sullivan, as they talked earlier, bought a whole engine. Kids work on it, learn how to do stuff. What's wrong with opening up Log Cabin Ranch, like a Job Corps we talked earlier, to learn kids how to be successful, to house when they get 19, 20 years old. They may not have a college education, but have a skill. So why can't we open up a skill center for those youth? That keeps them off the street. That gives them the trust and everything in the programs that we're really giving them. So something to talk about maybe at another time, but it's something that we're going to definitely have to face up to, that our youth of color have a lot of issues. And a lot of those issues is not only with themselves, but a lot of those issues is political, it's with other agendas, and it affects them, it affects their families, and it affects our city. Thank you.
Man, phenomenal stuff, Warren. Way to put that in there. And I continue to advocate for that. Every kid is not going to go to college. And yes, we connect with 100% college prep and a lot of these different organizations that send kids to college. But I have to be real. And I always tell people, Every kid is not going to go to college and get a college degree. We just have to be real about that. The second thing is we got to figure out those kids that don't go to college. How do we tap into their natural ability, their talents, and get them in the right pathway to be successful in the community? And I think Carr hit it. When you start talking about that, you're talking about equity and opportunities, right? And I think entrepreneurship is one of the ways we can get there with some of our young people. Instead of investing so much money into locking our young people up, how do we take their skills and talent and get them vocational skills or different things that they're able to do and make an investment with them so they can open up a business, so they can be sustainable in our community? Because every kid is not going to be that kid that's going to go to college, and every kid is not going to fit that corporation model. But as community, how do we support them and impact them in a way that they can create businesses, different pipelines for themselves and their families? And as community, we can get behind them and support them. There is a lot of youth talent out there. And I think sometimes we just have to create a pathway. Sometimes these young people, I can't get a job till I'm this age. We put so many barriers and restrictions on young people getting opportunities. I think that also negatively impacts us. So as community, as elected officials, leaders, how do we find new ways? Because I'm in these meetings and I'm going to tell y'all right now, I'm tired of hearing some of the old ways when we talk about violence prevention and some of the things in our community. I think we got to press the reset button and start back over with the ABCs and start back from the beginning, man, because just giving a person a job is not violence prevention. Some of these young people don't even know how to get a job. They don't have the education to keep a job. And I think we got to really look at our models, man. A lot of these models that people are advocating for in our community sometimes is just not the right answer. And I think we have to be innovative, and I think we have to be a city that are willing to take the risk and do things differently, because the way some of this stuff has been going is just not helping. And I think people get lost in fear and they're afraid to try something to do with the possibility of it failing. But I mean, the models that we have in place now, when we're talking about violence and violence reduction in our community, those models aren't working either. So what difference does it make? I'd rather put some money on something that I don't know, and we have an opportunity to model it and craft it in a way that it can work, versus something that everybody keeps doing over and over and over. And I'm in a lot of these calls, a lot of these city calls, a lot of these community calls, and I keep hearing the same thing. And I'm saying these models aren't working. You know what I mean? We can't talk about prevention, but nobody's in the community doing prevention. So we need to really identify what are we talking to classifying as prevention, and how is that applied to the community? Because all I see is reactivity. The young brothers is getting killed on the street. Everybody that's part of violence prevention is showing up after the young brother was killed. Where is the prevention? Where is the community work happening in our community on these corners? Where is the outreach for these young people, getting them into these programs? And I think that's why these models of how we utilize these systems and these facilities could be collaborative with the community, because I don't want to just wait for the young person that's going to commit the crime to then get the services. We have to change our model. San Francisco has a great opportunity to change that model, because when we deal with our young Black males in this community, the only support they get is through the reentry process. So you have to be incarcerated. You have to be in jail to get services. I'm a big advocate. We got young fathers. We got a lot of young fathers here in San Francisco, and there's not a lot of support for them. There's not enough groups, and there's not enough support for them. And that's what I'm advocating for. We have to do the preventative stuff before it becomes a reactive moment. And we got to think of other strategies when we're dealing with our Black males. I go on these calls. I hear all of these services that they have for single mothers, for pregnant women, to help women out. But when we talk about the men, I don't hear nothing. All I hear about is reentry support. Now you go to jail, there's services. We'll help you with something. You got to be on probation. We got to change that model. Let's grab these young brothers and sisters out there and make sure that we're doing the preactive work, and let's properly invest in them before they get in trouble. And that's the model that I would like to see. It's a little bit of an innovative change. We need to make these collaborative products. When we're making them for our women, let's think about the young man in the community, because I'm on these calls. I'm advocating for the community. I'm advocating for the young brothers. And I'm going to be real. There's a lot of opportunities for the young sisters of our community to avoid the pitfall of trouble and things of that nature. But when we look at our young brothers, it's nothing but reentry. You got to be in jail. You got to be in trouble for you to get that kind of support and help. So that's what I'm fighting for. And we'll keep fighting, working together. But definitely it's going to take some work, proactive work. And we got to really look at what we're doing. Since everybody's talking about reimagining things, I'm tired of hearing that word. Every time I hear that word reimagine, it just drives me nuts. Reimagine, starting back off from A to Z. Let's teach our young people the basics, the one-on-ones, the etiquette, the things that they need to be successful. Let's not just give them a job. Let's teach them how to keep a job. So that's what I want to say. But go ahead, Brother Mackey and Satch, jump in there. I'm sorry I took up a lot of time on that, but go ahead.
You hit a lot of, everything you said was on point. Well, one of the things that is that we can definitely do, Log Cabin Ranch here at Juvenile Hall, is try to, and those communities who want to do stuff, is create apprenticeships, for these kids. Like you said, not every kid is going to go to college, but they have a skill set that we can tap into. Once we find out what it is, that we can tap into and work on, and have them and put them in the right direction to go that direction. And I think apprenticeships, whatever that skill may be, would be helpful that we can do.
Come on.
Or people in it, or businesses, or community people once they say they want to do.
Hey, can I tap in?
Yeah, go ahead. I thought Marcus had that. Marcus, go ahead, Sam.
Oh, well, you pretty much summed it all up, man. Other than what I was just thinking about, just the type of resources we get, that we get that we can get coming into this institution. What comes to mind is growing up. When I grew up going to school, I never had any. I had never had any like programs that came to our school that gave us any school, after summer school programs. Was technology. We have Google, we have Yahoo, all these tech companies that
Facebook,
came
Twitter.
to San Francisco, and none of them came to my school. None of them offered any summer program. And I'm looking at what's going out, that's being exposed to these kids, that our kids can be in the forefront and able to grasp something before it goes big. I think it's cryptocurrency. You know what I'm saying? I think that our kids should know what is that. You know what I'm saying? And how can they get involved with something like that? Learning how to code. We just spent the whole year behind at home. You know what I'm saying? People from working from home. Our kids need to know all of that. You know what I'm saying? Like Warren Johnson said earlier, that some of our kids come here as 15, 17-year-old, don't know how to read or tell time from just a clock.
Man,
everybody used to
envelope.
digital, everything's digitized to their world. But we gotta start back and go as far as back as we need to bring them up, and as the world is moving at a fast pace, try to get them implemented in what's going on right now. I believe like computer technology, like coding is their future. You know what I mean? We on our downhill. We on the downhill, and we still driving home construction and stuff like that. They might not have to have that. You know what I'm saying? Somebody might be better suited, and will want to wake up if they know they're gonna be sitting behind a computer doing some work. So just what type of resources that our kids going to be included in when they come to our institution is going to be determination on where they're going to go in life.
I think that's very powerful. Before Sam go, I think that's very powerful, and that's what I was yelling at when I was on that commission call. Y'all should have heard me on there, but I was going off because, again, nothing against those other organizations that were on there, right? But I'm sitting there and I'm listening to these people, and I'm just like, this is why it's important to have this type of dialogue so that our community can hear what's going on. A lot of time our community is so disconnected of what's going on, and we have these people who think they know what's going on, don't know nothing. Okay, this lady's talking about we want to take our kids, we want to change log cabin into a petting zoo and have farms and cows and all this. And I'm like, lady, that's great. Don't get me wrong, having the understanding of country and different life for our kids in the city. But little Ray Ray ain't doing that. I mean, come on, let's keep it real. Like, they ain't trying to hear that. Then the other guys on there talking about, well, we want to do the fire program. We want to do fire camp. We want to turn log cabin into a fire camp. And they, because of the wildfires. And then see, they trigger me. I get triggered. That's why sometimes I just gotta be careful because I get triggered, right? So again, you're doing the same thing that the system is doing, right? He's like, well, right now with all these wildfires happening in California, we could take our young people and put them in log cabin and they could do fire camps and learn how to put out fire. That to me, you just triggered me. That's slave labor. And then how many of our young people, like I asked them, how many of our young people are going to actually get a job at a fire department across this country? Each fire department that I know, we have the lowest numbers. We have to think realistically, right? We got to set this up so that it really works. And the Conservation Corp, they do a phenomenal job, but they're advocating for that stuff, but it's not sustainable. And I think what you just said, Marcus, is the most perfect thing. We're here in the Bay Area. Okay, this is technology. This is where everything happens. Why are we not advocating for our kids for coding, programming, automation, IT security? We just had the national security and the CIA come on the news talking about how the greatest threat to America right now is IT security. There's over 2.5 million jobs in IT security. Why we're not creating log cabins to be the next IT security platform? Cryptocurrency. You brought up a good point, Marcus. I just read an article the other day. Y'all know I'm on these finances and marketing and all stuff. The Treasury Department is already maneuvering to start transitioning the currency digital here in America, right? So the transition is already happening. How do we educate our community to get them ready for this transformation, okay? Like, that's real important, this digital currency. This is going to be the future of what we're going to be dealing with. So how do we get our young people ready for this shift? As you all see across this country now, they are starting to remove the coins out of circulation. Sooner or later, the dollars is going to be out of circulation. Now we go into the digital currency. You see all of the EDD stuff that's going out. All the subsidies are going on digital cards, debit cards. So we're moving away from cash. But why are we not educating our young people on that? Why are we not getting them into the financial sector? And we know the biggest problem in the Black and brown community is economics and finance. Why are we not trying to build the next generation of young financial literacy people, young money marketing people, young investors? We got to start thinking realistic, because every time we talk about our young Black and brown kids, I agree with you, Marcus, it's always construction. Keep them in the community. Let them pick up the trash in the community. Let them do stuff in the community. And I just don't think it's real. We're setting our kids up for failure. And I understand that in some of the communities it's so heavily impacted with gang violence and things of that nature. But when we start isolating our kids to one community to actually get a job and do the work within the community, we are setting them up for failure, and it's not going to help us overall. We got to figure out other ways to do it. And I think you're right, Marcus. It starts with what we do here. Everything in this country is going digital. Automation, okay? It is happening. Why are we not getting our kids up to speed? Why are we not getting them trained up so they can come back? And maybe we hire them to come back to the seniors of the community and teach them this stuff and teach the next generation of kids. But I just had to say that, Marcus. I think that was a phenomenal point you made. I keep pushing it. I'm a little radical. So, when they hear me, John, you so radical, but really I'm just real. And I like to just be from a place of like where we at. So many times in our community, and I keep saying this, we have too much history and not enough future. And our allies and the other people that we have issues with and say, oh, well, they're doing this, the Asian community is doing this, the white community is doing this. They have too much future and not enough history. So how do we bring those two together? Because all I hear from Black folks is the 400 years of slavery, where we've been at. We understand all of that. How do we move forward as a community? And it starts with conversations like that, putting our people in the place of 2021, the realistic part. I can't talk about what happened 500 years and expect my kids to use this as an enable point to not move forward. It is time for the Black community to start stepping up and move forward. We got to step into technology. We got to step into investment. We got to start doing the things that these other communities are doing and stop complaining about, oh, well, they got this. We're getting opportunities, but we have to apply the opportunities and we have to do it fast. We got to start preaching to our young people in the community about ownership. The only way we're going to change this paradigm in our community is ownership. We have to own our businesses. We have to own our media. We have to own our housing. When we talk about reparation, there's a lot of reparation talk. I'm like, get the cash to my people and let them start doing what they do. But we all know it's a lot of fear, because with money comes power, education, opportunities, and we know the overall system is really not about giving Black folk that power and opportunity. So, just real talk there. I had to throw that in. But Brother Sam, go ahead. I know you want to light them up, but go ahead, brother.
Now, everything. First of all, thank you. This is a beautiful opportunity, and I heard a quote one time by this teacher, and he said that you can't teach a child you don't love. You know what I'm saying? And so while we talking about how, it's like, what the how is? It's the movement in love. You know what I'm saying? And being truthful with ourselves, with our families, with our youth. You know what I'm saying? And we have to be able to like, don't nobody like living in a community where everywhere you look, it's a camera. We got gunshotters. You know what I'm saying? Again, safety is first. When you're not safe, you can't perform right. You can't think right. So when we're looking at community-based organizations, when we're looking at juvenile halls and all this type of money that's being put into a system that is actually supposed to impact these youth in certain ways, we have to begin to say, okay, let's hold everybody accountable. Because if I'm sending you $10 million and you're supposed to do A, B, and C, I need to be able to make sure that you're doing A, B, and C, because it's not reflected in the community. You know what I mean? If I come inside of a juvenile hall and I see the programming is not consistent, well, like you're saying, well, you know what? We're trying to get our children, get our youth to graduate. We're trying to get them involved in technology. We're trying to set them up with organizations that when they re-entry back into the community, they can actually be hired. You know what I'm saying? It's like being able to look at the whole system and take it like a puzzle and put it together. And you know what? Being realistic to say, we're not going to get 100%, but if we get 80, that's better than getting none. Somebody is going to keep thugging, as we would say. You know what I'm saying? It's like that. But what we have to do is remember love. We don't even, I think this relationship that we have with everybody who say that we have interest in our young people in this city, but they don't see us together. See, some people don't understand. Again, we come from the hood. We come from the community. So you'll see me in the streets because that's where I live. But as a profession, y'all don't call us outside of this institution to go to the community-based organization, to have our presence there. You know what I mean? When I grew up in San Francisco, we would have Juneteenth was, when we think culturally, you know what I mean? It was a holiday where we would all get together, you know what I'm saying, and experience that cultural empowerment that we need to have as a thriving Black community. So it's a lot of work that has to be done from a family perspective, from a community perspective. But when we look at it system-wise, it's like, how can the system help and say, you know what we need to do is stop being a separated family, because everybody's saying they're caring about the same person. We got to start creating atmospheres where, SATS can show up inside the community. Say a community-based organization, the backpack giveaway. You know what I'm saying? Because he might develop a solid relationship with a youth in here that outside you don't have the time to. Because when I come to your community-based organization, I'm in and out. Unless you got a summer program that takes us out and we go to see different things. You know what I'm saying? We got to remember, part of the problem is the mental in our minds. The confinement takes place in our mind. How many of our youth have actually left their community and been to the beach in San Francisco? You know what I'm saying? In my mind, if I have that, I got to stay on my block because it's going to be drama if I go to the next block. I'm dying in a 1 mile vicinity. We got to create things that crosses these borders that them border lines where we say, yeah, I'm from Hunters Point, I'm from Fillmore, you know what I'm saying? I'm from Valencia Gardens, I'm from Army Street, I'm from Alamany. Them border lines actually end up being in our mind and we don't cross over. No, we from San Francisco. We have the right to enjoy everything that's in this city as everybody else, but we got to teach our children that. We got to take them there. We got to show them, you know what I'm saying? We got to encourage them, and we got to take the money and invest in the organizations, and somebody has to come back and check. John Henry, you said something way earlier. Why are we not calling the group homes on the carpet? Just group homes alone, because we've been going to group homes since the 80s. Where is your success rate at? Okay, why are we not calling all these out-of-state places that we've been making a practice to send our youth to for over 30 years now? You know what I'm saying? Why are we not calling them on the carpet and say, how many youth that we sent to you and how well are they doing now? Do you even care? You see what I'm saying? So that's why I said with love. If we lead with love, if we act like we a family, you know what I'm saying? And we begin to share our information, right? And share our empowerment and show the children that we're talking about that look at the family coming together. I might can run game on my mama, but when I get outside, my teacher is somebody from the community and he or she knows better. You know what I'm saying? And when I was in the hood, I seen Sachs come through, and I ain't trying to go to Juvenile Hall to see Sachs. You know what I mean? But I can talk to him. You know, my own son said he has difficulty talking to his parents about certain things. You see what I'm saying? So all I'm saying is love. Love first. And then when you start talking about our cultural responsibility and being accountable to saying that, you know what? Do you know that Fillmore was baby Harlem? Do you know the history of Black people in the city? You know what I'm saying? And how this was a cultural rich city that we put forward. You know what I'm saying? And stop promoting the streets as if everybody from the streets. That's the killing zone. You know what I'm saying? Where are we as Black men? Like I said, I came to Juvenile Hall. All the men that I seen before was in and out of jail. They was pimps. They was slick. They was passing on something slick. I had to come into Juvenile Hall to see positive Black men. What organization is in San Francisco that is specifically designed for Black boys to see positive Black men? And you mean to tell me that we're gonna look at community-based situations and say that we attempting to change lives, and you as a Black boy who grew up fatherless, we're talking about a fatherless nation now, you know what I'm saying, don't even have an organization that I can walk into and see positive Black men. You're not protecting our kids' vulnerability, so they won't be vulnerable with you. Everything has to be tough, and you know where tough people end up. Pelican Bay shoe program, in the grave. You see what I'm saying? We got to be able to create something for our youth to say, you know what? I know somewhere that I can go. And I can go in there and scream, cry, yell, whatever it is that I have to do, and I'm protected because I don't feel safe today. I don't have to go home and put a gleek on my hip to say, you know what, I'm safe now. No, I went in there and I talked to Warren, I talked to Mackey, I talked to John, and they walked me to school. Somebody came and picked me up from school and brought me home because I knew that there's issues. We're not doing the very basic, and the system is not responsible for taking care of our families. Let's just keep it real, right? We are responsible, right? What about our daughters? You know what I'm saying? And what they have to go through. Like, we have so much work to do that I have to say, you know what? Put every organization out there and let's look and say, you know what I'm saying? What's up? We don't even need this. You giving us stuff that we don't even care about. You know what I'm saying? Like, let's find the things that Warren said it on point. When we do the individual assessment, when we assess them at home, when we assess the family, when we assess the school that they going to, right? When we get them in here and we know they safe, now we run a test to say, okay, you need help. How you in the 10th grade, but you reading at a 3rd grade level? And this is why you act out in class. This is why it's nothing not to go to school when you hit the streets, because you really can't get in there and perform. And if somebody laugh at you when you're trying to read, it's going to turn into a fight. And who wants to go into a school where it feels like a prison already? It's human dignity. You know what I'm saying? So we have to be able to look at the system and be honest. Look at our families and be honest. Look at our schools in the communities. You got mouth. We give our black community, we give our schools names after strong people. This is Sojourner in the Truth. This is Malcolm X Academy. But we don't act like that. We're not teaching a curriculum like that. You know what I'm saying? So when you say, wait, you know, I don't want to go dive into a 500 a year history, but we've been here longer than that. You know what I'm saying? And it's like, even in that 500 years of being stepped on, strength came out of that. Harriet Tubman came out of that. Nat Turner came out of that. Delmar Vesey came out of that. Sojourner in the Truth came out of that. Frederick Douglass came out of that. Booker T. Washington came out of that. Marcus Garvey came out of that. Malcolm X came out of that. Why these youth don't know that? Right? Why? Because that's what self-esteem is. That when I see myself, I see the greatness in myself. Right? But when I look at myself and you keep surrounding me with failure, ain't nobody finna go nowhere that's not reflective of them. You know what I'm saying? Like, you wonder why so many youth are comfortable in juvenile hall? Because look at the staff. They look like them. They got stories like them. You know what I'm saying? They can trust them. I'm not looking at you. I'm not looking at my daughters, my little sisters in some kind of freakish way. You know what I'm saying? Because when they're in a community, everybody looking at them and seeing how they can exploit them and put them in some kind of human trafficking situation. Like, we have to be real and stop faking. You can pass the money around all you want to. They've been doing that forever, and we still faced with the same issue. So everybody got to be accountable. The parents have to be accountable. You got to be able to say, you know how many mothers that I done been in here 17 years that say, you know what? I can sleep. I can sleep. I know where my child is at. I ain't got to worry about getting that phone call that they choked out in the street. I don't like that they in here, but you know what, Car? I'm sleeping tonight. You see what I'm saying? We got to pay attention to that, because that parent is saying, I want to sleep at night. And when my child is out, what's going on in the house ain't enough to keep them there. They gone in the streets. And now I can't sleep because I'm worried about them. How come? Oh, man, y'all better stop playing with me. Why you work on the clock to save these kids' life? Why is it that it has to be from 7 to 3, 3 to 11, right? 11 to 7 or 9 to 5. Everybody has a shift, right? Your caring and what you're supposed to do to save lives, right? All depends on your job. It's not, we need stuff that's 24/7 out here, right? But then you're going to knock the police because they 24/7. So while you sleeping in the bed, because it's your job to save these kids' life, the police is 24/7. But when you care and you lead from love, come on now, you out there. Somebody will be out there at 2 o'clock. What is your child doing outside at 2 o'clock in the morning? 12 to 6 is murder hours. Stop playing with me, John Henry. Ain't nobody got no business in the streets, no youth, from 12 at night to 6 in the morning. Ain't nothing out there. If you ain't working, even what they call it graveyard shift. Come on, man, stop playing with me. We're not dumb. We highly intelligent. Stop playing with us. You know what I'm saying? Somebody need to be in the house, in the bed, feeling safe, just got out the bathtub, just got their food, getting prepared. What is our normalcy? Is it normal for our kids to be hanging out at 2 in the morning now, and that's acceptable? You see what I'm saying? Like you say, why we got to bump our head, go into some type of facility where I'm losing custody of my child? That's why I go back to the courts. If you really want to start reforming, if you really want to help expunge them, get them out of the juvenile system. Oh, you ain't got nothing but misdemeanors and lightweight felonies. We can bring you back in the court and expunge all your stuff. Boom. Put them in the hands of an organization that can, from that point, take them and get them into some kind of job, whatever it is that y'all choose. Rather it's technology, whatever you do. I might not grasp the technology. I might grasp with my hand. I might want to, whatever. We used to have church. You remember when we used to have church in the old juvenile hall? And it's like when you act scary, you get a scary result, right? We had every unit in the church. G1, G2, B5, B4, B3, B2, B1. We scared of our kids. Look, we can't put them together. We the only place inside of this institution we make them fess up to it. Oh, I can't really kick it with him. But no, yes, you can. Yes, you can. You're going to come out and y'all going to face this. You're going to learn conflict resolution. Y'all got a conflict, let's resolve. Cooperate, reward. You cooperate with the program, you get a reward. Come on now. This is stuff you're supposed to be learning in your family. You're supposed to go to school and learn this thing, sex education. Like we act like they ain't out there having sex, so we got people coming here who mothers and fathers. Come on, dude. They ain't getting no love, dog. They out running the streets, and now they mothers and fathers. So it's continued right in our face. So when you talk about programming and what we need to do, it goes back to what Warren said. The individual assessment tell you everything in front of your face. We need parenting programs. Because let's be real, it's still, even though they are kids, they parents though. A lot of them are. Stop playing with us.
Hey, Sam, they're not ready for this. They're not ready for the community. They're not ready for this conversation.
Yeah, they're going to have to be. When we going to be ready?
What you doing? About accountability.
Hey, no, John, hear me. You want to see me on the pier in the Wax Museum, the last black person in the city. Did you see the movie, The Last Black Man in the Stop playing with us. Y'all not getting rid of us. We're not going nowhere. We deserve to have a thriving black community in this rich city. Come on, quit trying to kick us out. Come on, we waiting on you to change the projects again. You see how Alamany look? You see how this is the third time, John Henry. I grew up in Potrero Hill Projects. I know every time they change the face. But you don't ever look at, we need jobs. We need better schools. Let's go in some of these schools. Let's call the schools on carpet and they go look at their books. Is your books neat? Do you got brand new computers in here? You talking about all this money we passing around? Let's do some real accountability in here. Don't nobody want to learn from no book that their daddy grew up on. You know what I'm saying? And then everybody got something on the page, Hunters Point, Lakeview, Randolph, Army Street. No, can we get clean books? Can we get laptops? How many youth haven't even been educated over this last year in this COVID? Have anybody thought about that? Do they have Wi-Fi at home or everybody learning from the phone? You know what I'm saying? It's like it goes back to love. We all want love. We all in some shape, form, or fashion been raised or been a parent. You know what I'm saying? You got parents up in this system we in. Come on, this is the system, John Henry, that we came through. We was just here last week with Papa Jack. Come on. You know what I'm saying? So y'all, it pulls a trigger when I say, man, you know what? The way we've been treated in this whole conversation is disrespectful. So we go back and say, thank you again, you know what I'm saying, for providing a platform to hear both sides of the conversation. Because it's not, hey, if you take away Juvenile Hall, then what you have? You going from your crime straight to the prison? That's not, politics change with the politicians. You know, and we did have a Frank Jordan in the city. You remember Frank Jordan? You know what I'm saying? I have to always be somebody that's in our corner. Sometimes a conservative Republican will run this city, and we will heal tough on crime. You know what I'm saying? We're very politically mature. You know what I'm saying? When everybody was saying, tough on crime, that's when all these little mini prisons was built. You know what I'm saying? Now we got people saying you don't need this place, but in reality, what have you done to change the conditions that people live in? The conditions should be saying we don't need this place. Why? Because people having jobs, people not killing each other, families can live in the city. Most of us, and I'm going to put it on us, the workers, most of us work in poverty. 88,000 is the poverty limit for one person in San Francisco, one person. Now, who's making 88,000 a year? A family of four got to make over 100 and something thousand.
Wait. The mayor said it takes $130,000 if you don't make over $100,000. You poor in San Francisco.
So what does that mean for the reality of Oakdale, of Double Rock, of Alamany? Because you can't have that kind of income living in them situations. So when we talk about programming and preventative measures and re-entry and what needs to happen, it's very simple. Education, job opportunities, dealing with conflict and resolutions. You know, who is out there making an effort to stop the gang violence? Why? It's only 50 people that die. That's 50 of our kids. What are you talking? If it's 10, if it's 1, it's only 6 kids in here. You know, well, look at what they did. We gotta help them. I don't know, man. You know, John Henry.
Hey, it's called accountability. I'm glad you heard it. I'm glad y'all heard it from Sam Carr, because when I say it, they think I'm nuts. Because I'm just like you, Sam. I look around. Where are these organizations that's really doing the work with our young brothers? I don't see them, right? But all of a sudden, they always pop up and be like, what are you talking about? I am here. I don't see you. I don't see the young people in there. All I know is the kids I work with. I got to tell them, all these programming out here, all these people say they doing the work. I'm confused. Because my young people that get out, that we send them to these community organizations that's supposed to have resources for our young people, all I hear is, I went down there, they didn't have a job for me. You said they was going to do this, they didn't do it for me. Where's the mental health group? So you hitting on something that I've been arguing and fighting for the longest. But again, John Henry, both sides of the conversation, I'm a little radical. So they don't want to hear me because it's the truth. But I'm glad you said it, Carr, because it's real. It's all these organizations, all this money going around. But where the hell is the people at? I can't walk in there and see it, right? I don't see it. So everybody want to prove me wrong. I keep telling them. The mayor just put out a phenomenal Dreamkeeper initiative. So they really going to hate me now, because we're going to be going out in the community and we're going to be pulling up on these organizations that's supposed to be doing this work. And we're going to find out. We'll give them a chance. We'll come a couple times. We'll pop up on them, like, because everybody talking about pop up, pull up, pull up. Don't worry. Both sides of the conversation, we in the community, we're going to be pulling up. You say you're feeding our kids at 3 o'clock, I'm pulling up at 3 o'clock and see if you're feeding the kids. You say you're giving our kids jobs, I'm going to interview those kids and find out, did they get a job? We're going to hold these people accountable. We're tired of the poverty pimps in our community. They playing with us. But I told them, man, you can't play with my people and I'm around. I'm going to call them out. It's a lot of people that want the money, but they don't want to do the work. And that's real talk, man. We got to get on them, and we're going to stay on their head. So they ain't going to like both sides of the conversation. The viewership is going to go to hell, but it's okay, because I'm going to hold them to the carpet, man, because I'm tired of them playing with our people. It's a lot of work that need to be done in our community. There's a lot of young men that are being impacted and infected with what's going on, and there are resources out there. We just got to make sure that the right organizations and the right community groups are definitely doing that work, man. When you talk about conflict resolution, I was going to bring it back to me and Marcus, because I had to bring this back to Marcus. Marcus, remember when we was at E.R. Taylor? We used to have conflict managers with the blue shirts on, right? Hey, Marcus, after you left elementary, middle school, high school, we was in there. What was the conflict management? It wasn't no more, right? It was just like, that was it.
We was proud.
Right.
Conflict managers too. Hey, can I say this? This is what I always tripped off of. Look at us in this room that come from this city, and I am willing to put my life on the line and say that there's a lot of Black people, a lot of brown people, right? And I don't mean no disrespect by not mentioning other people, but y'all kind of taken care of already. Y'all not in here. We talking about high-risk youth that have the potential to die young, let's be clear, or die old in prison. You know what I'm saying? But we can do small things, right? Where is our commercial at? Where is that commercial that is running in San Francisco that is reflective of Black and brown youth who come from these communities, adults that have made it? When are we going to give our visual something positive for our youth to be bombarded with? Man, I come from Portrayal Hill, and I was able to overcome the obstacles. You know what I'm saying? If I was a drug addict, I can go to the commercial and light the lighter and say, me too. You know what I'm saying? I'm a drug addict. But where is our young people that have overcome these obstacles, like what you're doing right now with this podcast? You know what I'm saying? Being able to present the people to give you the encouragement that you can do it. Little simple stuff. We talk about invest in a commercial. Let that commercial run through the city of San Francisco. If I was a rapper, it'd be cool. You'll see me on TV. right, in a video? Well, why are they not seeing the positive brothers and sisters that's able to overcome the same obstacles that our other young people are going through? We need to see that. We need all kind of things, right? We need everything. Let's say that. But when we start talking about funneling money and what we can do, we should be putting money in specific places that a youth can run into. And you know what? Dang, I seen John Henry in a commercial where he was talking. I seen Mackie. I seen my auntie. You know what I'm saying? Look. I seen the mayor that come from field mode. You know what I'm saying? Miss Davis field mode. Like, you know what I mean? I see people that come from my community that made it in positions of influence. Because we know the person that influences your child the most is the person that's going to have that heart and mind. So if you let a pimp influence your child the most, well, your child might want to go be a pimp. But if you let a scholar, you let a banker, you let a writer, you let somebody else that has a positive influence, your child might want to go do that. You know what I'm saying?
Powerful stuff. That's what I'm all about. We are one of the dream keeper, mission, and narrative people. That's what we're going to be trying to do here at both sides of the conversation. Change the narrative. Tell the story of Black San Francisco, Brown San Francisco. Let the people know. That's why we created this platform. That's why we created these segments to highlight, uplift our community so community can see. There are some positive things happening. Like I said, I was out in the community yesterday, seeing the Feline Dance Group, doing their thing with our young sisters in the community, going to these other community organizations. There are people doing it, but there's a lot of people that's not. It's our job. Hopefully here we get some more support, sponsors, financial thing. You right, Car, so we can go to the college and follow up for the young brother that's from Hunters Point or Fillmore that's in college, and we can tell that story. And definitely that's what we're going to keep doing, to do our part. And it just takes a community. It's a village approach. You got to get behind us, but we'll keep getting the messaging out there. We will change the narrative, and we're going to start one by one, block by block, organization by organization, making sure that our community gets the resources. But that's a very good point. We got to start seeing it. We live in a nation where our young people, if you don't show them, they don't believe it. And it starts with individuals like you all doing the work. This is the conversation that community needed to hear. So now the paradigm shift has happened, Carl. What's happened is you didn't opened up. And now communities see something different. The perspectives today will change when they think about what's going on behind the wall. You, Brother Warren, like this is what they need. And this is just a few of the people. I know some other staff in there that are phenomenal as well, that are doing things to bless our community, bless our young people. And you're right. Sometimes they're not getting none of this love, none of this information, none of this education until they get locked up behind these walls. Very, very powerful stuff. Go ahead and jump in there, Warren, if you want to. I know I would kind of let Carr just kind of lead us there, but go ahead if you got something you want to throw in there, good brother.
Yeah, I'm really enjoying this. Brother Carr had a lot of good information. Brother Satchel, all of us, a lot of good information out there. But in saying that, we got to do something. We got to get the kids ready. We can't wait until they start getting 18, 19 to try to get them ready. That's almost too late. And it's going to take a lot of family involvement. It's going to take a lot of community involvement, but we just can't start too late. We need to do the simple things. We need to show our kids how to fill out an application, how to write a resume. You know, we're going to have to talk about assessment of the jobs that's in the city, assessments of jobs that's not in the city that our youth can grasp onto by just having nothing more than a high school education. We got to get their records expunged so that they'll be able to get these jobs. I'm gonna throw a plug out for a job because we talked a lot about technology, automation. We talked about coding. It's one job out there, and it's a federal job. And you don't need a college education to get that job. And it's a job where you can raise your family. And it's the United States Postal Service. And a lot of people don't think about that, what it takes to just work at the Postal Service. It don't take a high school, it don't take a college degree. You only need high school diploma, a driver's license, a clean driving license, driving record for 2 years. That's about it. And get that record expunged. Get a job like that, technology, coding, automation, All those things right there at your fingertip. The ability to go in at entry level, and then over a few years start moving up the ladder as far as you want to go. But those are the type of things that we have to take a look at and offer our young folk a choice, because they're going to make their own choices, but we just have to help them. If you want to be a thug, be a damn good thug, but you know what happens to thugs. If you got someone young and we're trying to mold them in the right direction, let's mold them in the right direction. But we're going to have to work with them. We're going to have to work with the family. We got to work with the community. We got to be able to get up early, and we got to be able to stay late. And like Sam was saying, sometimes 9 to 5 is not going to happen. We're going to have to be on it 24/7. It's going to have to be a lot of love thrown in there. And it's not going to happen overnight. And saying that, I'm going to give to one of the other brothers. I appreciate you.
Man, I think that's very powerful. We got to continue to do that. You know, y'all know I'm up there. I always tell the kids when I'm mentoring, there's a positive for every negative. And we got to push that in the community. If you want to sell drugs, you could be a pharmacist. You like to bip and breaking cars, you can go work for AAA. If you like to breaking houses, you can go work for ADT. You get what I'm saying? We got to change the narrative. We got to make sure that these kids know that there's a positive outlet for what they're doing. If that's their skill, if they feel like that's what they could do, it's another way you could do it. You a slick talker, you can go be a car salesman. You can go be an investor. I mean, there's a way for whatever it is that our young people want to do. We just got to get that information to them and keep impacting them. But I think, Warren, one of the things you said, that self-assessment. You all have a process of how to assess people coming in custody. And I know we didn't really hit on much of it because a lot of times community don't understand the reason why sometimes the work that you all do is so impactful is because a lot of times when we talk about substance abuse, a lot of times our kids in the community are impacted with drugs and different things, right? And we can't really reach the brain until we remove all of the chemicals out of the body, right? And I think a lot of times people don't understand that because you see those kids when they first get arrested, how they looking, how they feeling, blah, 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 blah. But once they start being there, cleaned up, eating healthy, and that's a lot of time what people don't even understand what's going on in our community, the health impact, right? We have food deserts all across the city. You go to the Black and brown communities, there's restaurants, nothing there that's healthy. We got McDonald's on every corner. We got liquor stores on every corner. But when these kids get to juvenile and they're able to get a real meal, something that's healthy, they skin change, they look better, their acne is going away, their mind is opened up, they're open to listen, they're not so angry. So how do we fix this in our community? And this is what I'm asking people. And shout out to my sister Maika Pinkston. She's the new commissioner at D10 for environmental justice, and hopefully some of their solutions will help do that. But we got to get this nasty food, and this because this is part of the mental health problem. I think Sam hit it on earlier. Childhood trauma and mental health is a big problem in our community. People that watch this show know I'm big on mental health advocacy. How do we get this cool? How do we get it in our community young, early, and fast and continuously? Because I think this is an ongoing process that needs to happen, especially when you talk about the gunshots, the domestic violence, the stuff that's going on inside of our houses, the trauma that our people deal with. Getting the right culturally appropriate people that can do this work. It is so much money. And I'm not saying that the money that's going into mental health, people always want to come check me and say, John, it's a lot of money, but it's not enough. But there is a lot of money going into mental health. And I'm trying to figure out how do we get these services to our community? All I hear about is mental health. It's a lot of money being there. And I'm not saying it's enough money to do everything. But here in America, there's got to be a pivot change, especially here in San Francisco, across this state. We got to start investing in mental health. Everybody want to just talk about it's a mental health, but we're not committed to making that change. I keep telling people, I think this COVID is second to mental health in our country. We need to invest the trillions and trillions of dollars that we invested into COVID into mental health for all of our communities. I don't care what they call them, whether it's mental wellness. We need mobile mental health. We need these CBOs that's getting this funding to take people in for free and not charge them an arm and leg when they already struggling to pay rent. There's a wealth gap in this country that's impacting us. Just last night, early this morning at 12 midnight, the federal eviction rate moratorium just ended. Okay, we don't want to get into what's really about to happen 14 million Americans are about to be impacted next week in certain states. Lucky we here in California, things are a little bit different. The process is different. But when we talking about our Black community, those 14 million people that they're going to be out of their house starting Monday morning, where the sheriffs in Texas and Florida and different states that don't have the humility and compassion like we have here in community in California are going to be impacted. And when you're talking 14 million people, let's be real, we're talking about a large population of Black and brown individuals who are going to be evicted on the street. You're talking about homelessness. You're talking about human trafficking. What about these families that have young girls that got to sleep on the streets, sleep in shelters with other people that they don't know? You talk about the drug abuse. You talk about the crime. You want to talk about the lawlessness in America that's about to go up? The stock market, what's happening? We are about to see some stuff that we ain't never seen, but what are people going to be doing for that? Like, we got to be real and have some real conversation. We got 14 million people that's going to be impacted. And after this state money runs out here in California, what's going to happen to those people? With our young people? You think they running in stores right now, running in and grabbing the Louis and the Gucci and running in, breaking everything down? It's going to be worse. It's going to be worse. And don't think these big corporations ain't paying attention to what's going on. That's why you got to watch out. You know, we might be back in the house, locking up these corporations saying, hey, I'm losing money. We don't want to open up storefronts. Well, let's lock everybody else down. Let's transfer all our products into warehousing. Let's do online shopping. What's then is going to also impact our community because those jobs are removing. So we got a lot of issues here in America, a lot of issues here in California we're going to have to deal with. But the reality is things are getting worse. Some resources are coming, but there's a number of individuals in our community that we're going to have to start coming together and let's start getting down to the nitty gritty, rolling up our sleeves, doing the work and not just talking about it. It's a lot of help that's needed. A lot of our teachers reached out to us. One thing this pandemic showed, you know, these kids are on in the classroom. And now with the Zoom, you know, some of these teachers now seeing what some of our kids going through. Man, I've heard so many times these kids are on their Zoom in class and domestic violence is happening in their house. There's all kind of drama and issues going in our house that we don't sometimes don't never see. And now it's starting to click. So it was some positive things that we learned from this online school. Our kids need support. Our kids need help. And sometimes it takes these type of things to awaken in the community. And that's what this is all about, having these conversations, waking up the level of consciousness, waking up the level of awareness, making sure our community know what the hell is really going on. Because it's too much play out here. It's too much pivoting and this preaching of prosperity. When we know in our community, it's more than prosperity happening. We have some real issues. And we as community as going to have to come together, fight for the community, fight for our young people, protect them and make them safe. In community, you be the change. Do your part. It's going to take all of us to do a little here, a little there to help make a change in our community. So with that being said, I'm going to just close my mouth now. Turn it back over to Sam now. You know, we getting close to the end of here. I want to be respectful of y'all time, but I give y'all the final words. Say whatever y'all want to say to the community. Give some part words to the community before we get today's show, but take your time. We're not in a rush.
I want to say this. I want to give one of my mentors a shout out, Mr. Warren Johnson. And even though I'm a grown and an adult, you know what I'm saying? I always talk to Brother Warren, and he always helped coach me through some of my turbulence that I experienced. And one thing he had taught me last year or the year before last was about complacency, right? And I remember what he said. He said complacency breeds death, right? So we have to not be comfortable. So check it out. Let's just put it like this. At whatever level we're working at right now in the city of San Francisco, whatever level, whatever work and good that we believe that we're doing, we need to be not complacent in that work. And we need to be thriving to do double it up as a hustler would. Let's do more. Let's do better. You know what I'm saying? We see the system that we all work in changing now, saying that it's allegedly changing for the better. Well, let's be honest. You know, we need people to show up in all these areas, right, where people are having these conversations. And I'm talking about real community, right? And there is no, and it's like we're doing well in this conversation because we haven't even begun to dissect the impact of racism in this city of San Francisco that we have to deal with and we have to face. You know what I'm saying? And this is supposed to be a time where we deconstruct racism. to make it better. But I'm just saying, Brother Warren taught me about being complacent, being comfortable. And we might have so many said organizations that get so much funding. We might have so many Black people working for the city of San Francisco, or brown people or people of color. Let's not be complacent in that. We want more. We want a bigger slice. We want to be included all the way, right? We want an African town, right? We don't want to see that as all these beautiful changes take place in the city, that Black people are losing a hold. Our little moms and pop stores are going away. Our community is vanishing. You know what I'm saying? No, we want to see a thriving Black community that can be reflected to the world. So let's not be complacent. Let's not be complacent in our even reimagining of what we can do. Let's not be complacent in our action. Let's not look at whatever is going to transpire when we talk about the systematic stuff in this system, that's going to be enough. You know, we always need more. That's what I want to say. That's my piece on it. No complacency. Thank you, Warren Johnson.
Go ahead. Go ahead, Satch. Come on, Satch. Give us some parting words. Say something to the community before we go. And then Maggie, then Warren, and then we'll start closing out.
Yeah. Well, I just want to say, John, I appreciate you, man. I love you, boy. That's it, man.
Love you like Kool-Aid.
Y'all my brothers, man. You know I love y'all, man. Off top.
You hear me? I love you like Kool-Aid in a mayonnaise jar, boy. You know what I'm saying? You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, John, this is just wanted to say, this is not just a me thing or I thing. This is a we thing, and we have to come together, figure this thing out. It's not going to happen in one day,
right?
But we need each other. School department, we need you.
Right.
The people in the community, we need you. You know, we may drop the seed. Somebody needs to water it. Somebody needs to cultivate the soil. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
Everybody had a part in these youth lives. So it's not just us, and it's not just you. It's a we, and we all got to figure it out together.
Man, powerful stuff, Brother Warren.
Hey, I'm gonna finish my part off by saying, hey, families, we love your children, but we can't love them more than you love them. So we're going to need your help. They're going to need your help. We're going to have to work together as a village, as a team, to make this thing happen. And like Mr. Mackey said, it's not going to happen overnight, but it can happen if we stay together and keep on what we're doing. Hey, John, I really appreciate you giving us the opportunity, man, just to come here and talk about some of the issues that not only we're having in the community, but we're having right here in Juvenile Hall, some political issues that we're having with the closure, what we're going to do with the Log Cabin Ranch, all those things. I'm quite sure everyone has their own agendas, but the agenda up front should be the love of our youth. Thank you, brother.
All right, man. Powerful stuff. You know, I love you all. Thank you all for the work you do with the community. I think this was a phenomenal community. I see the community out there engaging. This is what this is about, bringing both sides of the conversation. I hope you all had a good feel of what's going on. If you got a powerful brother like Mackey, Satch, Johnson, Carr, what are our young people? Could you imagine the wisdom, the information, the knowledge that they are giving our young people? I see it because I'm in there. I go behind the walls. The love, the humility, the compassion that they have for our young people. They understand. And this is what I'm saying about mental health and community engagement. We have to have people who look like us and lived in those experiences so they can really have the true impact. Nothing works with our young people if they don't believe to see that you've been through it. You have some phenomenal people on here today that just showed you the love, the compassion, where they came from. You heard the testimony from Sam. We've been in the streets. But there is an opportunity for change through mentorship, and that's why I believe so much in mentorship. You know, me and Jack, we up there at Omega Program, Uncle Damien, Corey, we blessing the community. We're going up there doing everything that we can to impact. And we know some of our young people, they get out and they reoffend. You know, I always say you never know when the light switch is going to kick on for our young people. We got to just continue to get them the information. As we slowly remove the chains from their brains, they will assume and feel that freedom, because it starts with the mind first. It's not about being behind the walls. It's not about being locked up. It's about financial and mental freedom that we got to remove from our brains. So we going to continue to do the work. Community, I hope you felt this. Because as these conversations come up about the closure of Juvenile Hall and what's going on, you kind of get to see some of the character, some of the integrity, some of the love, like Brother Sam been said, some of the love that our young people are getting while they have them for their short times. It just takes all of us. We all have to do the work. I don't want to talk about reimagining until the reimagining is the imagination of the real life. So I'm just going to keep saying we're going to keep fighting. We'll keep doing what we're going to do. But community, families, it takes us all. We can't just wait till they get there. But you heard Brother Sam earlier say the conversations, because a lot of times when we're going to these board meetings and we're going to the supervisor meetings and all we hear about the negative stuff, but we don't hear from those mothers that they just talked about that said, man, I'm glad my kid is here because I can sleep tonight. And a lot of families and a lot of mothers out there, if we be real, they feel the same way sometimes when they sit and their kids is in that situation. They feel safe that they ain't got to worry about the young people being killed in the community. Like I said earlier in the show, we just had a young sister this past weekend killed in the community. Killed in our community, a 16-year-old girl killed in our community, family. People out there, listen. The news reporters are talking to the people in the community. Our elders are afraid to go outside. We have to do something. We cannot have the elders of our community afraid to engage with the young people. We can't have families afraid to go out and be a part of community. We have National Night coming out. The last thing we need is families afraid to come be a part of community. Like, we got to do something. We got to work together. We got to get off the couch. We got to stop watching this real TV and get out here in real life with the community. It's going to take a lot of work. But again, I am tired of getting a phone call from community. Our elders are afraid to cross the streets because people are flying through the neighborhood. They are afraid to go to the stores because they're worried about getting robbed. Like, come on, we got to do something. It starts with the young people, elders of the community. I love y'all, but a lot of y'all, it's time to pass the torch. We got to go ahead and make the transition of power to the young generation, to the young people. We got to equip them with the information and the knowledge. I know you have the wisdom. I know you have the clout. I know you have the political connections. But if we at a point now where we having crisis in our community and some of the messaging is not impacting our young people, I'm sorry to say it. The relay race has started. We are now on the last leg, and we got to pass the torch so our young people can cross the finish line. We're going to keep this movement going. Both sides of the conversation, we're here. We're here to support the community. We're here to uplift the community. We're here to highlight the community, and we're going to keep having these difficult conversations and conversations like this today that's going to bring both sides to the community so they understand what's the real. You got to hear both sides to understand because everybody has their part in the story. Thank you to the juvenile staff, Bobby and Pearl, to the chief for making this happen, making sure that we are a part of the community and being heard from. Because these brothers on here are part of our community. They all are big brothers. They are our uncles. They are our cousins. They are our family. This is community. And when they get our young people behind those walls, they show them love and they show them that we are family. So thank you all for coming in today. Brother Sam, we got more conversation. You are turning into a both sides conversation favorite. Everybody's telling me we got to get Brother Sam back out.
Hey, click that, Mackie. Hey, we available. We not in jail. If y'all want to holler at us, we right here. We ain't afraid of San Francisco. We'll come where you at. There's no neighborhood that we can't go to. I'm not worried about what you worried about. We will come speak to your children. We will come to your school. We will be the encouragement that they need to have. So don't y'all treat us like we locked up in here. We just come here and work, but we care about our kids 24/7. You see what I'm saying? So John, man, shouts out to you, King. Love you the most, man. I see you Tuesday or Wednesday at Omega. You know what I'm saying?
You already know I'll be there Wednesday.
You know what, John? What was that one? You said you got one at the end of August. You said something you was talking about. You might have some more panelists. I might want to come. Something you said.
Yeah. No, I'll get out to y'all. All y'all over here, all of our juvenile family. If you all want to be a part of any of the Sunday conversations, go to our website. It's scrolling across the screen there. Check out our calendar. We have a calendar up, everybody. If you want to be a part of the conversation, maybe you one of the community organizations or you have a professional background on some of these conversations, please reach out to us. Check out our calendar. Sign up. Y'all are our family. Y'all can come on here anytime y'all want and be a part of the discussions. We're going to be talking about substance abuse, colorism. I would definitely love to have you come on and talk about colorism, Sam, because I think you would be a very good panelists for that, because we got to talk about how we treat each other. If you're darker, if you're lighter, and different things of that nature. We're going to get into some deep stuff about colorism. But I think we got some phenomenal conversations. You all are always welcome to come on here. Never be afraid to ask if you see a topic or something that we're doing. If you all have any businesses, because I know a lot of our councils are really doing a lot of other things as well. You all have a free platform to come on here, promote your business so community can get behind and support you. And then if you have any kind of educational presentation, mental health, or whatever you all want to do, you're definitely welcome to utilize our Educational Thursday space as well to help bless our community with information. That's all we're trying to do here at both sides of the conversation, is be intentional to make sure that our community gets the sauce, the information, the game, uplift each other, make sure they know where to go to get help. That's what we're going to continue to do, uplift the people and do the work in the community. We love you all. And, just want to say thank you again, my brothers. This is the work. So when y'all see me go to Juvenile on Wednesday, these are the brothers. And it's more that ain't on here today. Shout out to Maceo Johnson, Sister Khan. It's a lot of counselors that do real good work with our young people when they're behind the walls. They wasn't able to be here today, but we love the staff here. Y'all see me every Wednesday. I'm up there working with these type of brothers, and these are the powerful conversations that we continue to have with our young people when they're locked up. We're here to uplift our community, kings raising kings, queen raising queens. We just go keep bringing that spirit, a lot of knowledge, a lot of information with love. So with that being said, we'll see all you this Tuesday at 7 p.m. as we'll have another live broadcast for our Hidden Gem segment, where we will continue to highlight our Black and brown businesses as well as uplift our community leaders. Phenomenal brothers like this. We always want to get them roses. I want all y'all to sign up and come on as Hidden Gems, because we want community to also know. We know sometimes on Sunday with church and sports coming back around, a lot of times people don't see these episodes until the next day. But I want to get all you to sign up as Hidden Gems in our community, because you all are doing phenomenal things with our young people, helping do that positive work that sometimes is not recognized. And that's what we're here to do, is recognize, send those flowers to community leaders. So with that being said, we're going to go ahead and end today's segment. Thank you all for tuning in. Hope to see you soon. I know with this accountability piece, man, the numbers is going to go down. They're not going to like both sides of the conversation too much as we start holding these community organizations accountable, checking out the stuff that they say that they're doing, and making sure that we get the right services and things for our community. We love y'all. We'll see you all for next Tuesday Hidden Gem segment. Be safe out there. God bless you all.